My name is Andrea Ray, and I am honored to serve as the President CEO of your Chamber of Commerce, the Seattle Southside Chamber. And on behalf of our staff and our board, we are thrilled to welcome you with us here today. Our goal for this event is to offer information and insight about how our schools are learning and what our business community can do to better partner to impact our future. So as is our tradition, our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would please stand and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Perfect. Thank you. So just a few other quick thank yous before I invite our speakers here to the podium. Thank you so much to our host, Hotel Interurban. Thank you to our event sponsors, Crane Photography. Andrew Crane is busy taking photos right here. And of course, to South King Media, Scott and Teresa Schaefer. So thanks to our partnership with South King Media, we are live now on Facebook. So hello to everyone that is watching from the comfort of your home or your cubicle. We really appreciate the opportunity just to widen our audience and to be able to get this information out to more people in our community that need to hear it. Thank you also to our civic sponsors, the Seattle Southside RTA. We share more than a name, Seattle Southside. We also share a vision for our future. And thank you also to our other civic sponsor, the Port of Seattle. And of course, thank you so much to our school districts and the representatives and superintendents who took time out of their busy schedule to be with us here today. And of course, thank you, our members. So without your support, opportunities like this could not happen. So again, thank you for your investment. Thank you for your support of our organization. And we'll continue to be able to bring these types of programs to you. Thank you also to the leadership of our board and to our staff. And then I would like to just take a few minutes to recognize a few elected officials that are here with us today. This is part of our partnership, that it's business and it's schools and it's elected officials. So we really appreciate that. From the City of Burien, Councilmember Bob Egger is here. From the City of SeaTac, Councilmember Peter Kwan. From the beautiful city of which we are all now in, the City of Tukwila, Mayor Alan Eckberg. And Councilmember Kathy Hogarty. We're also thrilled that, of course, this is our State of Our Schools luncheon, and we have representatives from the Highline School Board, Bernie Dorsey, and from the Tukwila School Board, Dave Larson, and Jan Bolerjack. So again, thank you so much. We also have our board member, Darcel Lobo, that's here with us. Thank you. And another exciting announcement, we have pretty aggressive membership goals that we want to be able to grow our membership quickly because we know that the more voices that we add to our own voice, the stronger we are, the more connected we are in our community. And we are continuing to surpass and meet our membership growth with over 20% every month. So we had 15 new members, and April's not even over yet. So, again, thank you so much. And so now, without further ado, just a few other housekeeping things. Restrooms are located just across from the registration desk. And we will hear from three speakers. We will hear first from the president of Highline College, Dr. John Mosby. And then we will hear from Highline School Superintendent Susan Enfield. And then Dr. Flip Herndon from the Tukwila will come before Dr. Enfield. Sorry, Susan. Fantastic. And then I will give just a really brief update on what's happening with our Success Foundation, with our Exploring Post that we're launching this summer. And then we will all get to go home, or actually you don't even have to go home because we're in a hotel. You can stay here for as long as you want. Without further ado, I would love to have Dr. Mosby, president of Highline College, take the podium. Thank you, Dr. Mosby.
Happy Friday. I'm John Mosby. As a wonderful colleague said, I have the honor and privilege to serve as the new president 10 months in of Highline College. A wonderful, wonderful institution. And I come just briefly from, just to let you know a little bit about myself, I come from California, and very excited about the sun that I saw leaving the house today. I've been skipping all on campus and running errands for anybody on campus who's needed anything, anytime there was sun. So I come from California, in particular in the Silicon Valley at Mission College, where I was Vice President of Student Services. Prior to that, I was at Skyline College as Dean of Enrollment Services. So I'm a California person. I've been there for many, many years, almost all my life, but I am now home in the Pacific Northwest and very, very happy to be here. So I just want to take a little bit of time and talk a little bit about our institution. Just to also let you know that I have a speaking engagement in about 40 minutes. So I'm going to, as soon as I'm done, run out. But I want to just, if I could just give a quick acknowledgement to one of the best decisions I've made since I have taken the role as president of Highline College, and introduce Josh Gertzman, who's our vice president of institutional investment. And if there are any questions or anything afterwards or at the end of the luncheon, please go to Josh. As I always like to say, Josh runs the college anyway. So he has all the information, but we're very lucky to have him. And Josh, how many months have you been at Highline?
6 months.
6 months. A lot of changes at the institution. So again, Highline College, wanted to talk a little bit about our institution, our goals and mission, but I like to start with a quote from one of my favorite writers. I'm an English major. So Langston Hughes, in his work Harlem, talked about what happens to a dream deferred. He said, does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or does it explode? And I really think about that every day as I come to work and in working with our entire community, because it's about our students. And it's always, for me, about making sure that our students' dreams are realized, because simply put, they deserve that. So we want to make sure that they're realized, that those dreams don't go by the wayside. And as educators and as community members, it's our responsibility to make sure that we provide the framework for our entire community to be successful. So there are many reasons why I moved from California to Washington for Highline College, but I will tell you that as an educator celebrating his 25th year, I have never worked at an institution that has so much diversity. We are an institution that is the most diverse college in the state of Washington. We have over 70% of students of color. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. We also have been recognized by the Chronicle of Higher Education, the educational journal Guru, as the 5th most diverse college, not community, not four-year college in the United States. So I had to be able to try to get a job at Highline, right? And for me, I will tell you, just as an African-American male who has been in institutions where there's been few folks that look like me, it is an honor and privilege to serve as the first person of color president in almost 60 years of the institution. And this represents the beauty of Highline. When you look at our students, over 17,000 credit and non-credit students. Our students skew, I would say, quote unquote, a little bit older, but I don't really actually think that's older. And if you break down the different groups in terms of degree attainment, students graduate older. Like, for example, part of my dissertation, talking about African American students, 80% of African American students who graduate college are over the age of 33. I'll give you that idea. International students, we have a little bit under 800, and if you are close, ever come over to Highline College, and you're welcome all the time, anytime. Next to the building, or next to the campus, the right-hand side, there's a new apartment building. If you've noticed that, that is our new housing for our students. campus view, and we will be rolling out, officially we have students in there now, but we expect it to be full in the fall. And any student, Highline student that like to live there has opportunities. It's beautiful. It actually has some of the best views in the area, better than views from my house for our students. And these are international students, domestic students, all students. Highline is Highline. So we are very, very excited about that, and we look forward to having a full house and most likely a waiting list come fall. And Running Start students, we have a little bit under 1,700. I will say that Running Start Highline College runs usually quarter to quarter, either third or fourth with the number of Running Start students in the system. We go back and forth with that Green River College down the way, but third or fourth. And if you take a look at our students and where they're coming from, again, a wonderful thing is that if you look on here, yes, in our areas, our students are well represented in Federal Way, Kent, Des Moines, but we also are getting students from the Seattle area. We're getting students coming from all over who are enrolled at our institution, which just adds really to the diversity and the beauty of the educational opportunities for our students. You look at our district, our Highline district leads the way, so it's always a privilege and honor to even share space with my wonderful colleagues who are going to be speaking later on, but also in various events and our, having collaborations and relationships throughout the city, throughout the area. It's very important. So what do our students say? I can sit up here and talk about the institution and talk about how great it is and everything else, but our students say good things. And for Chalisa Thompson, who, by the way, has been featured in Seattle Times because she's part of our Umoja program. She's our student body vice president. She is a rock star, and I look forward to working for her one day because she will be running the world, and she's already doing that right now. But Chalisa talked about Highline is a community that invests in the people, Highline's about community and investing in the people that make up the community. And one of the things I will say is that when I started and I took this job, I didn't realize that when you are president, your photo's everywhere, and everyone knows you. So when you're at Target at 10:30 at night on a Friday night after a long week, and you just need some detergent so you can start your laundry and just go home and have a bowl of cereal, that's not necessarily going to happen when you go to the store and you're in a hoodie and some soccer shorts and some flip-flops, and the person who is checking you out says, "Dr. Mosby, we're so happy you're here." And then next thing you know, pulls the other 6 checkers who say, "Hey, Dr. Mosby's here, the president of Highline," and now it's a circle of them as I have the Target bag of detergent on my way home Friday night. But they talk about those stories. They talk about how it's changed their life. I've talked to people already who have been a part of the institution, whose kids have went there, participated in Running Start. They have graduated. The person who just put in the security in my house, I just bought a house recently, so I said I need to put in some security, thank you, comes in. He found out that I worked at Highline. I didn't tell him I was president. He went to Highline, his wife went to Highline, his parents went to Highline, and their parents went to Highline. And then again, I heard the stories, my Uber driver told me stories. It's been great. So I say it's an opportunity to hope, because the common theme for everything and what they all say is that Highline has changed their life. Where we are today, we are approaching 60 years of serving our community. We are the first choice for many. We're the second choice for some. A lot of significant change. We are an institution that has new leadership at the helm, a new president, new vice president of student services, new vice president of institutional advancement. We're having some new positions coming in, and we have some retirements. It's a lot of significant change for an institution that has had a lot of the same folks for a good number of years. And as president, it's my job to help guide our institution through that change, with making sure that the high level of commitment and service to our students is not affected. And I look forward for that, and we have the right people who will help move that forward. Our college pathways, I'll spend just a brief moment about that. Our students have wonderful opportunities to get to the finish line. You hear a lot of stuff now about guided pathways. We have Highline pathways, so students picking particular areas of focus, working with the faculty and the staff in terms of having a cleaner path to that finish line for them to be successful. So they're not in that circular motion. You know, identifying those goals and making sure they get there in a timely manner. We have programs for folks who started or were interrupted in terms of their progress. We have students that are in high school, again, talking about Running Start, talking about Early Start program. We have opportunities for any student who walks through the door. Our goal is to get them to where they need to go, and it's our job to make sure that happens. We have 5 bachelor's degrees at the institution. Very proud about that. Soon to be 6, but I can't talk about that just yet because it's still kind of behind closed doors. But we will have 6 bachelor's degrees, so students have an opportunity to get their AA and their bachelor's at the institution and continue that progress. Quite a bit of student support in career programs. I would say that overall we have learning communities where we have students who participate in programs, counseling sessions with faculty and staff to get them again where they need to go, but in a learning community evidence-based format that's committed to their success. And we want to replicate that for the rest of the campus. Completion rates, focusing on our TRIO program, our students rank high. Looking at that in terms of being able to graduate. Again, those learning communities do provide that support for students that might need it as opposed to some other groups. And we're looking again to replicate that across campus. We'll move forward by building on the strengths that make Highline great. There's always room to grow and improve, and we look forward to that challenge. We need to encourage and make sure, and that's my role as president, community-wide participation, planning, and action. We need to be present, not just here, but need to be present and visible and collaborate and innovative. And we need to take risks and be sure and lead our folks in our community, again, to make sure our students get the best possible education possible. And I look forward to working with the community to create the next chapter because the page is already being written. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the invitation to come and speak. I'm excited to share some information about Tukwila School District and really have enjoyed my time being at Tukwila. Just a little bit about me. I started as the interim superintendent November 1 of this year. So John's been in his position a little bit longer than I have, but not by much. Previous to that, I had been in Seattle Public Schools as the associate superintendent of operations. So I oversaw a lot of things like construction, school construction project, transportation, food services, things like that. So I was there for 5 years. As you know, Seattle's growing quite a bit, or have been growing quite a bit. So in that 5-year span, during that tenure, we in Seattle had built or renovated 17 schools during that 5-year time frame. Almost $1 billion worth of construction projects. So definitely challenging to find all the space. And I think it's one of the advantages that we're seeing in Tukwila School District is we also passed a capital bond in Tukwila and are adding more square footage to some of our buildings there, which I'll touch upon. But as Tukwila, as a district, I just wanted to touch a little bit upon where we are as a school district and what's been going on. So Tukwila is not the largest school district. As you saw some of the information from Highline College, the number of students attending colleges is smaller just because the school district is smaller. So this is our overall population that we see. FTE means full-time equivalency, so that's our enrollment of students. That's not necessarily the head count, so that's usually a little bit higher. But you can see Tukwila has kind of gone up and down, and over the last couple of years we've been on a little bit of a downward trend. But we are really trying to serve the students we can in the best way possible. So in the past, I've been a high school teacher a long time ago. And one of the areas that I taught was social studies and world geography. So I just wanted to go over a little geography here. So when you consider Tukwila, which is roughly about 3,000 students, There are 295 school districts in the state of Washington, if people didn't know that, on the K-12 side. These are roughly other school districts around the state that are close in size to Tukwila. So when you consider where we are, which I don't have the pointer, but you can kind of see it in there, there are districts that really span the entire state. And with that, you have a demographic that looks a little bit different as well. You'll see, I'm going to go over some of those now. This is some of Tukwila's demographics as compared to the state of Washington. The number of English language learners that we have in Tukwila is quite high, almost 40%. Multiple languages spoken at most of our schools. And I can tell you, being a person who's served in other school districts in the state of Washington, I cannot name another school district where their top 5 languages are English, Spanish, Somali. You might get Somali in this particular area because we have a very high Somali population, but the next 2 I have not seen in anybody's top 5. Nepalese, so people from Nepal, and Burmese, people from Burma. Those are languages that you just do not routinely see in somebody's top 5. You can see our homeless population also quite a bit higher than the state of Washington, and our low income students or families who qualify for a free and reduced lunch, almost 80%, which tells you a lot about some of the diversity that we have here in Tukwila and in this region. As far as the demographics go for us, again, you can kind of see the numbers there, and the male, female, but I just wanted to compare some of our demographic breakout. So for the number that is in the parens next to the category, the 7.7%, that's the state average. So if we talk about Asian population for the state of Washington, it's roughly 7.7%. In Tukwila, for us, it's 28, almost 29%. So other districts that are similar with that demographic might be a Bellevue, Issaquah, Lake Washington, or Renton. When we're talking about the Black or African American population, as a state, as you know, the state of Washington does not have a very high population of Black or African American students, 4.4 statewide. But for Tukwila, almost 20% of our students are Black or African American. So other school districts similar to that, Renton, Seattle, Tacoma, Federal Way, Highline, which also makes a lot of sense. You're talking basically about the I-5 corridor. And as a person who was born and raised in Tacoma and has done most of my work in the Puget Sound region, that's definitely where I see a lot of that strength. For the Hispanic Latino population for the state of Washington, 23.3%. For Tukwila, 29.4%, and other similar districts, Auburn, Federal Way, Franklin, Pierce, Mukilteo. Obviously, there are a lot of other districts, if I were to go back to that map, in Eastern Washington that have much, much higher Hispanic or Latino populations. But I just wanted to get to ones that were very similar. And for a white or Caucasian population, for the state of Washington, 54.4%. For Tukwila, 11%. Which really speaks to all of the other nationalities, races that are represented within Tukwila School District and other districts that are similar to that, Cape Flattery, Quincy, Toppenish, and Yakima. So if you've ever been out to Cape Flattery, which is the northern, right on the tip of Washington, very high Native American population, not a lot of other diversity out there, so it's mostly Native American and white population. When it comes, again, to English language learners, you can see as a state, 11.7%. We're roughly almost 40%, and some of the districts that are very similar in size. Low income, again, state of Washington, 42.4%. For Tukwila, almost 72%. And so other districts similar to us, Franklin, Pierce, Pasco, Grandview, and Centralia. Of those districts, really Grandview is roughly same size as Tukwila, but the rest of those are much larger school districts. And then for students with disabilities, we're slightly under the state average, and there are just way too many districts to list in that kind of range. But I just wanted to point out some of our colleagues, Auburn, Kent, and Federal Way, Renton, that are very similar in size as well in that population. So I wanted to touch base on some of the academic achievement that we have with our students. For us, and I'm just pointing out, 3rd grade, 8th grade, 11th grade, basically because 3rd grade reading is one of those indicators about whether or not students are on track to graduate on time. So as we're looking at this is one of the areas that we really want to pay attention to. The state averages here you can see for 3rd grade English language arts 55.5%. We're under that at 35%. So even though we're meeting the needs of some of our students, we obviously have a longer way to go to really help our students. Same with 8th grade math. That's another one of our indicators for the state, 47%. For Tukwila, 35.2%. And in 11th grade science, 30.3%. And for Tukwila, 17.9%. The one thing that I've learned in leadership and education is you really have to confront the data that you have. This is where our students are, and our goal now is to help make them as successful as possible. Bring in as many resources, give as much support to our students and families, and we realize that we have them enroll at different stages. Sometimes they come to us in kindergarten, sometimes they come to us in 5th grade, and sometimes they come to us in 10th or 11th grade. They may not benefit from all of the resources we have K-12, but we have to do what we can with what we have. And we have a lot of really dedicated educators who try their best to help our students succeed. These are just some bar graphs that show you, again, some of our student success and what we've been seeing along the way. But I did want to point out, we have seen some great gains in our graduation rates. So this is our graduation rates over the past 8 years. We've had a nice steady incline. And we'd like to see that kind of success for our students. We want to make sure that they're graduating on time as much as possible and ready for whatever it is that they want to do. Career, college, working, you name it. We want them to be prepared. So this one we really enjoy. This is the percentage of students who are filling out their FAFSAs just so that they can be ready for college. And you can see we actually are leading some of our colleagues around here. We have a smaller sample size, so I'd like to think that our smaller size allows us that opportunity to really touch base with more of our students. But I applaud all of our surrounding school districts for getting as many students ready if that's what they want to do. So just a couple of highlights here. We do have our bond projects. We should know within a week or two whether or not we're going to start our elementary projects on time, but the middle school and high school are underway. We're adding additional rooms to help with STEM education and increase some of the square footage so we have better education spaces. We are really trying to partner with some of our CTE and career pathways here, and we're doing that both at the high school and middle school. We're looking to really get this coordinated K-12, starting at the elementary school, going all the way up and have a good system of support to help our families and students. We have some career clusters or ladders that talk about AV and technology. You can see we've got some human services, STEM and manufacturing and finance. We're really trying to work with some of our partners in apprenticeships and internships. So you can see in here, Renton Technical College, City of Tukwila, just to point out a few. So again, that's just a recap of some of our successes. We really like the fact that our graduation rates are continuing to go up. We want to continue with that investment. We're continuing to partner with some of our apprenticeships and internships with institutions of higher learning and employers in the region. But we know our challenges are real. We're not all the way there yet. We've got a lot of work still to do, and I know we can do that. We really appreciate the support and the passion of the city of Tukwila and the community of Tukwila. As I've been in for the last 6 months, the conversations I have are people are so proud of this city and the schools and the investment they make in the community. It's just been fantastic to be a part of this for the last 6 months, and I'm really excited for what the future holds for Tukwila, our students, and our families. So thank you very much.
So thank you, Andrea, and I want to thank Andrea and the Chamber for hosting this event and giving me the chance to share the great work happening in our region along with two good friends and colleagues of mine, Flip and John. In addition to Bernie Dorsey, our board president, I also want to acknowledge that Catherine Carboni-Rogers, our chief communications officer, is here, and as is Ann Bonnick, who's the executive director for our wonderful Highline Schools Foundation. So it takes a village, and we have a nice strong Highline. So thank you for that. And just a moment. I love smashed peas, and you never get those at any event. That was just a delight. Kind of made my day. So, it's the little things. So on that happy note, I am thrilled to share with you the work that is happening in Highline Public Schools. So some of you, this is my 7th year serving as superintendent, so I'm not new, and our work isn't new. We've really, I think, done a good job of staying the course with our strategy in Highline. So for some of you, this will be somewhat repetitive, but I hope so there's some fresh and interesting facts in here as well. So we updated our strategic plan this year, but still based it on our Highline promise, which is every student known by name, strength, and need, so they graduate prepared for the future they choose. And I will tell you that when people ask me what my definition of equity is, that's it. Because for all of us working in public education, saying that we're committed to equity, the day that we can say we've delivered on this promise, that every student is known by name, by strength, by need, and is graduating equipped to choose a future for themselves, not one that is preordained for them by somebody else, we really will have gone a long way on our equity journey, and that's our goal in Highline. So we have 5 goals in Highline, ending with our graduation rate, but we want our students to graduate with digital and media literacy skills. We want them to graduate bilingual, biliterate. We want all of our students to be making significant growth each and every year that they are with us. And we also want to focus on having schools where the culture in those schools is one where adults and students alike thrive. And so I'll go into a little bit more of that in a minute, but I'm going to skip, sadly, this fabulous animated video about our strat plan. I urge you to go to our website where you can see this and more, but in the interest of time, I want to keep moving along. This is a statistic that we've measured over the last several years, and this I think is why we have been able to stay the course and seen some progress over the last few years. We do a culture survey annually of our staff, and we get a fairly good response rate. And as you'll see, starting in 2013-14, which was the baseline, we've had a pretty steady, and in some cases increasing level of people who say, I'm familiar with the goals in the strategic plan, but more importantly, I support the goals in the strategic plan. I have to tell you, I don't know of a lot of organizations, K-12 sector or other, where 80 or 90% of the staff even A, knows there's a plan, and B, can actually say, yes, I support that plan. So that means that we are working on having a common language and a common focus in Highline. And what has that resulted in? Well, the biggest thing is that it's resulted, like Tukwila, in an incremental but steady increase in our graduation rate. So last year's graduation rate was 81%. And while that's great, we think the bigger story is that that is across all groups of students. So when we want to talk about gap closing, this is gap closing. So the fact that, for example, an American Indian, Native American student back in the class of 2013 had roughly a 40% chance of graduating. Now they're at 88%. I'm incredibly proud of that because unfortunately our Native American students traditionally are not served well in our K-12 systems, and we've worked very, very hard, thanks to the leadership of Sarah Marie Ortiz, who heads up that work, to really identify that. But as you'll see, every student group has made gains over the last several years, and that to us is very important. And so people always say, to what do you attribute the progress that is being made? And I say it comes down to 3 things. 1, we need to make the connection between school and work for our students. They need to see their diploma not as the end, but as a means to an end. That diploma becomes a ticket to the future of their choice. Well, how do we do that? We have to give them a window into the world of work. So you will see that over the last 4 years, we have provided our students with a significant number of job shadowing opportunities, internship opportunities, career exploration tours, and career fairs and special events. And some of those actually go on in our community. One of my favorite events is Michelle Tomadison, who leads our work, does a fabulous speed networking event with our students and business members in the community where they have to give sort of their 30-second pitch about who they are and what they stand for. Wonderful way for our students to interact with the business community and understand what it takes to be a professional. So these workplace experiences, which as you'll see, have steadily increased, these are the number of student internships that we filled over the last 4 years, we think are critical. Next, once we've given our students a sense that this diploma is a ticket to something, we need to give them a reason to be in school. And that means we need to challenge them as well, right? So we've increased steadily the number of students taking AP classes and the number of students taking at least one exam. Now, some people will note the drop that we saw in last year, and that's, we think, attributed mainly to the fact that advanced placement is only one rigorous course-taking option for our kids. We have IB at Mount Rainier, International Baccalaureate, sorry, I don't want to use the jargon, International Baccalaureate at Mount Rainier High School, but we also have other programs. We have dual credit, we have Running Start, we have college in the high school, so there are lots of opportunities for students to take this advanced coursework. But we also, because I will tell you, when I go out and talk with high school students, the recurring theme that I hear is, I'm bored. Right? I'm bored. And so we know that our students want to be challenged when they're at school, so the more rigorous coursework we can provide them, the better. We're thrilled that we are finally starting to see, this was making me crazy, we're finally starting to see the number of students who scored a 3 or higher on the AP exam going up. We saw a 10% jump last year, which is great, because here's the thing. We talk a lot about access. Access means nothing unless we're ensuring our students are experiencing success. So yes, I want my kids to have access to AP, and I love that more of them are. But I also want to make sure that they're passive, that they're prepared to pass those exams and get that college credit. And we're starting to see that uptick, which we plan to continue. And these are our IB numbers as well. We are actually investing significantly in beefing up our IB program and doing what we can to encourage more students to go for the full IB diploma. Anybody in here have a student who went and pursued the full IB diploma? Catherine Carboni Rogers did. It's tough, but we do want to make sure that more of our students see that as something that they can do. I will say as well that we are looking right now, okay, I've got 5 minutes, I gotta keep moving, that even though we are in the midst of difficult budget times, that we've made the decision in the budget that we're gonna bring forward to the board for approval, that next year we will pay for our students' IB and advanced placement exams. That will be in our proposed budget. I believe strongly that we need to send a signal to our students that we believe in them. We don't want to give them the chance to opt out. We want them to be able to get that college credit and show the world what they're capable of, regardless of whether or not they're able to pay those fees. So we're hoping to see some good things coming around that. And then finally, I mentioned our school culture goal. And as many of you who have known us for a few years now know that we've really put an emphasis on shifting our approach to school discipline. And we, for many years, were focusing on our discipline numbers as the goal in and of itself. And when we did the refresh of our strategic plan last year, we sort of had an aha, which was, that's actually not the goal, that's a measure. The goal is to create schools, again, as I said earlier, where adults and children alike thrive, where people feel respected, where they feel safe, where they feel challenged, where they feel joy. And that's the goal. So we still focus on, by the way, our discipline rates, because as I said, there are 3 reasons we believe more of our students are graduating. Number 1, they're getting a window into the world of work. Number 2, they're being challenged when they're at school. But number 3, we gotta have them at school, right? So if we're pushing students out for minor infractions, that's not going to help them earn that diploma. And we don't think that a mistake, a minor infraction, should lead to the loss of a diploma, which for too many students it can. Now let me be clear. The safety of our students, our staff, and our schools is always paramount. And we remove students on a regular basis for safety concerns when we have to. But we will not remove a student from school unless it is a major infraction, because we know that if we keep them in school, they're likely to do better. And this is something where we've seen our numbers start ticking back up again. You know, it's like anything. You focus on it, and you see some progress, numbers go down, and then you sort of turn your focus to other things, and all of a sudden it's like, oops, we got to revisit that. So actually we've spent time this year as a team meeting with a group of staff from across the district to examine our discipline data and policies and procedures, and have revamped them and developed a discipline matrix to help our principals and teachers understand the appropriate steps they can take so that we're not leaving it to chance. And I'm very, very excited about that, because I don't think that when we see ourselves backsliding a little bit, that we should take that as a sign of beating ourselves up or what should we do. We take it as a sign that we have an opportunity to reflect and improve, and that's what we're doing. So you can see our elementary discipline numbers as well, pretty much mirrors what you saw in the overall down, 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 and now ticking a little bit up. Our attendance, again, we think that if a school culture is healthy, kids want to be there. And so our elementary attendance has remained pretty steady at about 95%. Middle and high school goes down a little bit from that, but not a ton. I think that my overall message for how we're doing in Highline schools is that we have, I think, some of the most dedicated and talented education professionals at every level of the system that you'll find anywhere. I will put our people up against any in the country when it comes to whether it's driving a school bus, whether it is cooking our kids' meals, whether it is teaching algebra, whether it is making sure that our families feel welcomed in our welcome center and enrollment goes smoothly. We have dedicated people who show up every single day, and this is what makes me so incredibly proud, with the absolute unshakable belief that a child's challenges need not be barriers to their success. And for that, it is such a joy and an honor for me to serve as the superintendent for Highline and to work alongside these wonderful professionals, because as I think many of you have heard me say, the words we use to talk about our children matter, and our children listen and they pay attention, and the words we use send a message to them. And so I always say every single child in Highline Public Schools is brilliant, beautiful, and brimming with promise. And it's our job to do everything we can to help them realize that promise for themselves, and in doing so, make our community a stronger place. So thank you very much for your support.